Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to SevTech Ages. So since last episode, I have been fairly busy. I did run through a bit more Betweenlands stuff. I also started setting up for farming up here, and we've got some other stuff to set up. I'm going to set up later. I'll cut for a bit and set that up. Over here, you'll notice I added a new structure. This is the first of many Watchtowers. I still have some stuff left to do to finalize it, but if we head up here, we have like a nice scenic spot. I've got to add the roof on, and I've got to finish putting grates along the ceiling. Not big projects or anything like that. I mean, they're pretty quick. And then I'll probably add, like, I don't know, maybe some, I don't know if there's any kind of weapon racks or anything. There's got to be something I can set up, like maybe a table or something, and have like a bow and some arrows or something up here. We'll see. We shall see. Also, how am I going to get back there? let me do something here real quick. Up on top of here, I made the first of our banners. I actually designed a banner for our base that's going to be like our base's symbol. And there we go. There is our banner at the moment. So I did purple and red gradients on the top and bottom, and then I did one of the vine designs around the edge, and the flower symbol there in the center, so it almost looks like an eye. So that is our base's symbol. And I'm gonna those things, those banners are decently expensive to make. I'll go ahead and say, because they require 6 wool, and wool requires, of course, 4 fleece each and a wicker block. So that actually took a little while. I've got to get sheep set up at the base, because right now I'm having to go out a little ways, but yeah, so our very first watchtower, and then over here I started running up this, because right over here is going to sit our warehouse, and I'm kind of doing some final deciding on how I want to design that out, and I decided I'm going to make some changes to the dock, and I'm actually going to bring the dock around a little bit. It's going to connect into the warehouse as well, but I'm about to start all that. But the majority of my time, let me actually pop over here and sleep real quick. Okay, the majority of my time was spent in the Betweenlands area, back behind it. This actually took a while, and I'm not done with it. But you'll notice I changed all the dirt to swamp dirt, and then we have just a variety of plants gathered with shears around through here, and I built out our Twilight portal a little bit. So it actually wraps around back into here, and the hilltop. I've still got to add more plants around on the back, and of course bring the swamp dirt out, because I want the swamp dirt to come out a decent ways. Like in the front, it's going to go all the way up nearly to the bridge. It's going to be swamp dirt with plants. A lot of that is actually going to be farming, though, in the front section there. Like as you see right there, we're going to be setting up some farming for that. But then in the back, I want it to come out, you know, a ways, come out to the water, and then kind of wrap around, and then, you know, kind of come out a ways down along the path, and then kind of come back out and wrap all the way around. It's going to be very, very large. It's like the Betweenlands is kind of seeping out of our portal into the Overworld. It's kind of what I'm going for. Now this pathway, I'm torn. There's a couple different thoughts I have on this. I've thought about leaving it like this, because I actually love the contrast between the swamp dirt that's that really, really rich dark brown, compared to that path block, which is the really, really light earthy color. And I love the contrast there. I mean, it looks really cool. And especially with the, you know, with the weedwood bushes and everything along the pathway, I think it contrasts very, very nicely. But I've also thought about doing like between stone down through there, so it kind of has that like I don't know, like temple floor look. And then I've also thought about doing these weedwood chip paths, which you can place down. It's just like really thin weedwood. I don't know yet. I'm still playing around with the idea. I haven't settled on anything yet. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I don't know. Like, I love all 3 of them, and you know, like the between stone would be kind of like this right here, or like that. But then I really love the contrast here a lot. But then I also like the weedwood paths, so I don't know yet. I don't exactly know yet. But anyways, this comes out along through here. We kind of have like a little pond with swamp water, and there's mud and just kind of icky. We got algae. We have a nibble twig tree that's growing like poison ivy. It's not a safe area because like all this nettle, this actually damages zombies down to about half health pretty effectively. Because it does a decent amount of damage. Like by the time they get to me, they're running through the nettle plants and just taking damage. But as you can tell, I can't even go through here without taking damage. And there's like big mud pits through here. And then back in here, I've got like some silt that's come out, and I've got like cattails and swamp reeds and stuff like that around here. And yeah, very much a work in progress, but it's come along. And then there's peat right in there. But anyways, yeah, that's what I've been working on, is a lot of plant gathering, and we're gonna be kind of continuing that today within this episode, because we're gonna be covering farming with Betweenlands. So that's something we haven't done yet, and it's kind of overdue. It's a little bit overdue, and it will definitely help us. It'll help me when it comes to expanding out back in here, and then it's also going to continue. It's going to help with the potion making and stuff as well. Now, a couple things I want to point out. First up, moss. If you put moss down, you'll notice that moss is like going all over this building. Chances are, by the time it's done, like over time, that moss is going to spread and probably cover the majority of this building. I know it'll probably cover the majority of this building. I don't know, though. Those pillars may stop it, actually. But if I put, like, one block of moss down, basically it'll spread up, down, left, right, you know, anything that it can touch, it will spread to. It'll go around corners and all that stuff. So with moss, I'm not going to worry about setting up, like, an actual dedicated, this is a moss farm type thing, because I can just come over here if I need some moss, grab some off of Shears, and there we go, I've got another moss block. Also, poison ivy. Poison ivy will spread down on its own. These actually started out about right here, and they just kind of like grow downwards, just like vines. They don't have to, they don't have to hook onto anything or nothing like that. They'll just grow down, and they give you a pretty nasty poison if you touch them, but they do look really, really cool. So we're going to be using those for decor as well. And then I've got to add more trees and stuff like that. But yeah, so anyways, we don't have to worry about those. I'm not going to make dedicated farms for those. The main thing we're going to be hitting is a new food item. We're also going to be hitting swamp reeds and swamp kelp. And then we're going to be hitting both the standard crops and then extra plant crops, and then Meyer snails, I think, is what we'll be focusing on. So anyways, back in here, we'll start out with the basics, the easy stuff. So I've just got swamp dirt with water on each side, and I'm sure you can guess what's going to be grown here, and that is right here, swamp reeds. Swamp reeds work exactly like sugarcane. We're not going to do anything too elaborate. You can plant them underwater, like I can actually put them right down there, and they will grow. And they'll actually grow slightly faster when they're underwater, by like a third. But I'm not too worried about them being fast, as opposed to them just being really convenient to harvest. They do require water directly adjacent to them. I can't plant it like right here. And they also, you'll notice, oh, I can plant them here. Huh. Okay, well maybe you can plant them on dirt next to regular water too. But swamp water and swamp dirt, though, is what I'm going to be using. I didn't think you could plant them next to regular water. But one other small difference between these and sugarcane is instead of only growing 3 high, they will grow up to 4 high. So you can actually see, for example, right back here, these started out as just a single block like what I just planted, but they have grown up to be 4 blocks high, and then we can just hit them and harvest our swamp reeds. So I'm actually going to harvest some from these. I love this mud. Actually, I've got, I should probably be wearing these, huh? Now we can get around on this water a little bit easier. But these will grow back, so I'm not too worried about harvesting them. That is, what, 24? Okay. And we're going to be using these swamp reeds a lot for composting. Originally I was thinking these had to be planted underwater. I don't know why I was thinking that, but they may. I don't think they had to be in 1.7. I know my farm in Divine Journey, I think I had them underwater. But you don't actually have to have them underwater. They still grow at a fairly decent pace when they're above the water. Like enough that we're not going to have to worry about swamp reeds. We're going to have plenty of it. Especially doing a decent sized farm like what I'm doing here. Plus I have all these swamp reeds back here if I, happen to run out or something. But I'm mainly going to be using them for compost. Okay, so there we go. These I accidentally placed twice. I'm going to go ahead and grab these back. So, and then we can just run down these and break everything. And I mean, it's nearly Probably close to a stack of sugarcane planted. So you're talking about like 3 stacks on harvest. It's not too bad. I don't think. I don't think so. Okay, so now that we've got that taken care of, I just want to get that in because that's going to be important for us as we move forward. Let me actually turn off my climbing gloves. I was using these for working on the tower because they came in handy. But we don't need them anymore. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this. I made a void sigil and a water sigil. And I'll show you really quick. And the water sigil isn't inside my sigil of holding right now. The water sigil, if we come over here, I can right click and it creates a source block of water. But let's say, for example, I put a source block right there. Then what I can do, if I want to remove water, the void sigil, you can right click it and it removes water. Or any kind of liquid, lava. I actually used it most recently inside of one of the white fortresses to clean up all the stagnant water that I didn't bottle up. I've actually got 17,000 millibuckets of stagnant water in here, but you can actually use the void sigil and void that out. It'll also be useful if and when we come across a tar dungeon finally, because the spawners are underneath the tar, and they're usually a pain to get to. With the void sigil, you know, you can just pull up all that tar. I'll be wanting to bucket it up, but you can just void it out. So, anyways, next up, I want to make a compost bin. I actually want to make quite a few of these. So it's just Simerite with weedwood planks. Alright, so compost bins, there's 5 of those. That'll work. Maybe a little bit of overkill, but if I want to make a lot of compost at any given point, I'll be able to. And we're going to set up our compost bins like... And I know this place doesn't have a floor at the moment. It will. Hopefully after this episode, maybe even during this episode, because a lot of our farming is going to be in here. That's the reason there is no floor. Is because we have to put farms down here. Okay, so we got ourselves 5 compost bins. And then what we can do is we can shift right click. Or, yeah, sorry, shift left click. Are these all facing off in this direction? Yes, they are. And I may have to change the block beneath them just so it fits a little bit better. So I'm going to change that to weedwood for right now. So I think it looks a little bit better. Maybe these are supposed to open up on this side, I think. Because the netting is on this side. They're a little bit different than they were in 1.7. So, but what we can do is we could take things that are compostable. And anything you hit U on, and it has a compost recipe here, that is compostable. So swamp reed we can compost. So what we're going to do is we're just going to right click swamp reed in here, and you can add a bunch at once. And we're going to close that down. And then we'll see some particle effects coming up out of that. That means this is composting, and you can see this stuff down inside of here is composting. In 1.7 you couldn't see down inside of them. I don't remember being able to see inside of them anyways. Alright, and I don't know if I have any other like good plants, like excess amount of plants lying around. I do have black hat mushrooms, but I've been using those for building, so I really don't want to use them. So that's why we want the swamp reed up and going like full throttle, because this would definitely help. And I'm going to put a path block over this, probably just some slats or something like what I have in the other farm. So our compost is going to take a few minutes. I want to say it takes like 4 minutes or something for compost to run. So I'm just going to wait patiently. I'm going to change a lot of this over to swamp dirt and continue working on this while I wait for that compost to get done. Okay, I got a little bit of the farm changed over, and I got slats down so we can walk across this. So our compost is done. If we look down inside there, you can see we've kind of got like this brown stuff down the bottom of it. Brown compost, I guess. So shift left click, and then we can hit right click, or shift, no, yeah, it is right click. There we go. And we can pull out our compost. We only got 3 pieces. Well, I mean, it depends on the item you put in there, from what I recall. So maybe, let's see, I put in like 15 swamp reed. So maybe it takes like 5 per compost for that. Since it is a fairly common item, pretty easy to obtain. I know dry bark was like one of the better things in the past. So if we pile this up in there, there we go. Okay, so the compost bin is full. That means that's all the stuff I can put in there. That's as much compost as it's going to be made, to be able to make. It depends. Like you can see, I put less dry bark in there than I did swamp reeds. That's because this dry bark is going to make a lot more compost than the swamp reeds did. So I'm going to go ahead and just compost out. I'm going to close these off. There will be a need for like 5 of those, though, at times, I think. Oh, and I've got a bunch of reed rope here. I can always compost that. I was looking, because I have some more dry bark in here somewhere. Okay, it's just 2 pieces. We'll go ahead and get that running, and then I'm going to get a bunch of that reed rope running. Because as far as I'm concerned, that is just free compost. And that I've just been getting out of dungeons and stuff, so we'll just pile that up. See how much we can actually run through this. Okay, so 20 reed rope fills up a compost bin. And something else to note that I didn't think to show you. This one has like the dry bark in it. We can also pile in reed rope to finish filling it. Oh, it's not actually filled though. We pile in more of that. So you can mix and match, like if you just have like a big mess of plant items, you can throw all of those in there to make compost as well, instead of it having to all be the same thing. So, just a heads up. There we go, some of our swamp reed is growing. That's going to be something that really, it's going to grow quick when we're kind of just AFK doing other things. Okay, so since the compost is going, let's actually go ahead and pull this up, and let's see. Oh man, there's an advancement for Necro Farmer. Okay. I was going to originally just go straight for Purified Dirt. I am going to go ahead and get some of this going, and we'll go over the way it works. Let's do like 30 of it. Basically, if you take swamp dirt and you dump it into a purifier, it's going to purify the swamp dirt. Because there's a thing within Betweenlands farming called like soil decay. Okay, like everything in Betweenlands has decay. Like your tools decay, your player decays, and your soil decays as well, of course. And if that happens, you have to make plant tonic to rehydrate the soil, basically. But if you purify the soil first, you get purified swamp dirt. This stuff never decays. Now, you are still going to have to replace compost as you grow stuff, but you don't have to worry about stuff decaying on you whenever you use the purified swamp dirt. But since there is an advancement for having a plant decay and all that, we're going to go ahead and set up our first little farm. And the first one here, we are going... Actually, let's go into the Betweenlands. There's a plant that I want. We're going to start with white pears. Yeah, see, this is where I've been digging up swamp dirt. Just to give you an idea. Oh, these little guys, we'll be using them later. I actually have some spores already, but if you kill these little guys, they're passive. They do drop spores, and we can plant those, and we will be planting those here in a moment. I don't want rotten food. I wish rotten food was compostable. I kind of wish there was a way to disable that from being dropped, because it's actually very annoying. Because it drops like all the time from like everything, and it's slightly a nuisance. Okay, so what we're looking for is hanger plants. And these are fairly common, growing off of like weedwood is where you'll tend to see them, like these trees right here. Just gotta find some. Okay, right up there. If you look up on top of that giant weedwood tree, you can see that there's hanger plants hanging down from it. And some of them have like these white, yellowish white, they almost look like torchberries, kind of hanging down from it. And that's what we're looking for. Let me pop up on top of this weedwood tree. Oh, that's not high enough. Okay, so let's get up there real quick. Let me actually turn on our climbing claw. By the way, these are the trees that the pyrads wander around. There's probably one still around here somewhere, because, yeah, right there. I didn't kill him. So if you attack the tree... Wow, he got me with that. That's fine. Not worried about it. Anyways, if you attack the trees, they'll get angry at you, and it'll pop that advancement. Okay, so right up here, this is what we want. This seeded hanger. We can hit that, and we're going to get ourselves some white pear seeds. I'm going to grab a couple of these. These things are super awesome. These are going to be our new food. We're going to get rid of pumpkin pie and all that stuff. Moving forward, we're going to use white pears. Okay, I got 18 seeds. That should be plenty for us. So let's pop back over here. Okay, so what we're going to want to start getting into planting, first up, we're going to want to get ourselves a tool from the Betweenlands. I'm going to go with Octane. Octane is super common, and got plenty of it. So we're just going to make ourselves an Octane Shovel. There we go, and then what we're going to do, we're going to start off with just regular swamp dirt, and I'm actually just going to plant it like right here. And that's because this one is just going to be for the advancement. What we can do is we can take our Octane Shovel. It has to be a Betweenlands shovel, and just right-click this. and we get dug swamp dirt. And then what we can do is we can take our compost and compost the ground, and we got the Mr. Compost advancement. But this makes it plantable. Now, compost will, after a few harvests, the compost will go away. And with this being regular swamp dirt instead of purified, this stuff will decay, and we're going to have to make a plant tonic to bring it back, like to rehydrate it. But then we can just take our pear seeds and just put them in right there, and we got a vine bush advancement. And then in addition, let's see, is our swamp reed grown? A little bit of it grown? Not much of it's grown. Okay. Let's see, is this stuff done? No, this stuff's still running. Okay. Just gather some swamp reed over here. I think by the time everything's done, I mean, there's going to be swamp reed everywhere. So, you know, I'll have that area there in the front that's kind of like, you know, if I need a burst of swamp reed and I haven't gathered swamp reed in a while, we'll have plenty there. But if not, if we're doing a lot of stuff like this, we'll have swamp reed back through here. Okay, so there's 25 swamp reed. That'll be good for right now. And then what we can do is we have to dry this out, which is just smelting it. We can make dried swamp reed. So we'll just throw it into there, and then let's get ourselves some sulfur. And we'll get this stuff smelting up and drying out. Okay, I've only got one dried swamp reed right there. Okay, well, while we're waiting for that to grow, our purified swamp dirt should be done. I'm going to have to add more water, because I know I didn't have enough water in there to finish everything that we had in there. But we do have 8 purified swamp dirt. Okay, but let's go ahead and set up a more permanent spot. This is the purified swamp dirt, which will never decay. You will still have to, you know, update the compost that's in there, but it's not going to decay on us, which is great. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do a small farm for spores, and I'm going to do a large farm for white pear seeds. Spores, I mean, they're nice, not for the animator, but you can make it's a yellow, some kind of yellow mushroom, yellow dotted fungus. That's what the spores produce, is yellow dotted fungus. 4% on protein, and then it's got, you know, some decent hunger and saturation boost. But it's not something that I'm going to be using a whole lot because of the nutrient system, which actually, this doesn't need to be here. I have it on both sides. I don't know why. I don't know why I did that. Okay. Anyways, we'll go ahead and put out purified swamp dirt, and we're just going to place this stuff out a decent ways. Yeah, there's 8 of them. And then we can, let's grab our compost. We'll go ahead, dig a couple of these. Now you'll notice they are connected textures. So as you dig more and more of this, you're going to get one big connected texture. By the way, you can't trample this, and it doesn't have to be next to water either, which is kind of nice. But you are going to have to upkeep on the compost. So we got the pure and dirty advancement. Okay, for using purified swamp dirt for your farm. And then we'll just go ahead and put down our pear seeds. Now, one reason you want to use the purified swamp dirt, I don't suggest really farming at all without purified swamp dirt. Purified is really easy to make. And this stuff, whenever it decays, it also decays the plant that's planted on it. And then what happens is whenever you break that plant, when it's at like full maturity, if you break that plant, then what's going to happen is you're just going to get back seeds. You're not going to get back any of the fruit that you're supposed to be farming for. And it's really easy to bypass the decay system, you know, just purifying it. So it's really, you might as well, kind of a thing. Okay, our dried swamp reed is done. Let's go ahead and let's throw it into our mortars. And we're going to grind this stuff up to make ground up swamp reed. Okay, so there's 19 pieces. And basically this stuff works just like vanilla bone meal, is what it does. So if we were to right click this, you can see it grows our white pear seed. And there we go. We can right click to harvest off of it and then grow it like that. You'll notice it's going to be a lot faster. Once the plant is initially grown, it's going to be faster to make more of those white pears because it doesn't have to grow the bush anymore. It just has to grow the fruit again. This compost should be done. I want to expand on our white pear seed setup. So let's grab this stuff. You'll notice that dried bark, we made 16 compost from a single bin of dried bark. And there's 26 for the mixed bin. And these ones here, you'll notice they're a lot lower. It's probably, what, 4? Yeah, 4 compost. So dried bark is definitely a way to go. If you can pull it off, it does produce a lot more compost. And you will notice that since I dug all of this, I didn't plant anything here, so it is turning back into just purified swamp dirt, and it's losing the dug aspect, but that's fine. And I'm going to want a lot of these planted because we are going to be using a lot of white pears moving forward. Like I said, it's going to pretty much be, we're going to use that and hearty stew is what we're going to use. Not just white pears, I'll show you in just a second, but you'll notice even by itself, 3% on fruit is not too bad. Not too bad at all, but we're going to make it even better. We're going to take it a step above. Okay, so we'll just keep bringing this out. And we'll go to about right there. And in this little area over here, I'm going to do like a little... Actually, I'll bring this over one more layer. But we're going to do like a little small place for spores, just so that we do have them planted in our farm. Is the main reason. So let's go ahead and dig all this area out. I love the fact that you can't trample this stuff, though. It's so nice. And you'll know that the compost is gone because, of course, there's not going to be any of that yellow stuff. Like, the compost will just be gone, and then you'll know to recompost it. It's usually after about 3 harvests, so if I was to grow this thing again and harvest it, you can see the compost is now gone. And then I would have to replant. And it's only on harvest, so, I mean, really, you can leave this setting, you know, fully grown. You can leave it just setting there, and it's not going to go away. So we'll have like a little 3x3 farm that's all just yellow spores, is what we'll do. And I'm going to go ahead and grab some of these out. And we're going to go ahead and plant some of them. And we'll just plant these down. Like that. It'll be a 3x3 with this little corner cut out, basically. I may actually bring it over. No, I think I want a divider there. But anyways, we'll go ahead and get these spores planted so they'll start growing. And that's the 2 basic crops that you have to compost and dig the dirt. That's really the 2 main ones that we're going to be doing that way. Now, in addition, we can also grow plants. And that's where a lot of this farm is going to be. And I'm thinking what we're going to do is we're going to bring this out like maybe 5 wide. And then we'll have like, you know, right in here is going to be a divider. So I think that's going to be a decent sized white pear farm. Since they drop more than 1 plant on harvest, bring this all the way out by 5. I mean, that's going to be probably a stack and a half every time we come to harvest. We are going to have to keep up on compost. That's the worst part of it, but really it's not all that bad. In truth, let me eat real quick. And I'll probably make the spores mimic that, so they'll come up by like 5 blocks as well. I mean, they're going to come out in front of these compost bins is the only thing. If I do that, I may end up moving those compost bins. Or maybe I'll just cut out the side like that. So the spores will just be all in here. It doesn't have to be exactly square shaped on the farm. So it's going to be, you know, something to that effect. So a little spore farm right there. Just so we've got them, and then we'll have white pears all throughout here. And then this area up here is all going to be for plant growth. Let's see, 3... Okay, so we're going to have 6 plots, basically, of 3x3s, because I'm not going to do a divider through the center of this, so we'll have, you know, 3x3, 3x3, and then 3 sets of those, which isn't too bad. 6 of those is going to be more than enough, I think. So what we're going to do is we're going to do swamp dirt just around the sides here. It doesn't have to be purified swamp dirt on these sides here, and we'll just kind of build this out. And this is going to be for growing flowers, is what we're going to do. Because Betweenlands has a feature where, you know, all those plants and stuff, even the rare ones and things like, you know, all that stuff that we've been using for alchemy, those Venus flytraps and the big standing lily pads and all that stuff that's out here, nettle, we can actually grow these with a slightly different farming method than this right here. And so the way this works, we're going to put down purified swamp dirt in the center here. Because we don't want this to decay, but we don't care about the rest of this because it's not going to decay. This is going to be, the one in the center is basically our spreading block. And then what we're going to do, let me pop over here and see how our purified dirt is going. I may need to add more water to this. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves some shears, which I've been making so many of these between episodes because that's what I've been using to gather up all the plants that go out here. So, it's nothing new at this point. I wish that would hurry up and decay, so we can make our plant tonic and like deal with it. But anyways, I'm going to head in there and I'm going to gather up a couple plants. Basically using the shears. I believe you can actually grow weedwood bushes with this, so if you need more weedwood sticks, really easy way to do it. But I'm not too worried about weedwood bushes because they're a dime a dozen in the Betweenlands. I can go out there and gather up 3 or 4 stacks in no time. But I'm looking for stuff that's a little bit more rare, like pitcher plants or those sundew plants or whatever they're called. The Volar Pads, these right here. I wouldn't mind having this, which, okay. Go ahead and grab that. And we're going to get like 6 different plants. These are going to be our like starting plants. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate them out. Because it would take such a massive farm to have all of them being farmed at the same time. So I think 6 will be good. Okay, I've got us a few rare plants. I got the cardinal flower, the sundew, the pitcher plant. I need to get some more, a couple more, but I'll figure out what I want to put down. So what we can do is we can take, say, our pitcher plant, and we're going to need compost. We're going to need our shovel. We're going to dig this out and compost it just like a normal farm plot, but then we're going to plant a pitcher plant down right there. And you can see we got the flower power advancement. What this does is now this plant is going to be able to spread out into this 3x3 and make new pitcher plants. And then we can just harvest them with our shears or with our sickle, you know, if we want the crop, the alchemy ingredient. And then we'll do the same thing. I mean, pitcher plants, fairly rare, and I want them for decor. There's a lot of it. Sundew, also fairly rare, and I want them for decor. Volar Pads, cardinal flowers, the same with those as well. And then our cardinal flower. And then in addition, and then these will run out of compost, and you can just right-click to compost them whenever it does start to run out. In addition, I did get 62 dry bark, so we should be able to fill out these compost bins. They really don't take very long to get a bunch of this stuff if you have lumber axe. And 10 of it fills up a compost bin, right? Is that right? I'm sorry, 14 of it. 14 of it fills up a compost bin. And then I'll just fill the rest of this one up with reed rope. Good old reed rope. Okay. So we got more compost being made because we're definitely going to want that as our farm grows and everything. So we'll let that sit for a bit and it'll start spreading the flowers. Like I said, that one we're really just waiting. Oh, see, the cardinal flowers already spread. These flowers are actually super rare. These are one of the ones that took the longest to get enough to do the research and have one for each of my storage spots. It actually took a little while. And there we go. We have a fully grown mushroom. And we'll just go ahead and break that off. And there we go. Sporadically Radical and Mushroom Master advancements. And we'll just dump that into there. I don't have a whole lot of use for it, in truth. We'll just have some just for the sake of having it. Alright, and let me get some sludge jello being made. And we're going to be automating, or not automating, semi-automating sludge here in just a second. Because I'm going to want a lot of that to go with our white pears. And speaking of, let's take a look at the piggybacker. I want to go ahead and get this, or the piggyback pack. It's 2 leather and 2 sticks. And we're going to need this for making our sludge farm. And it's not going to be very big, but I want a little place so we can have sludges. By the way, can I make name tags? Because that's kind of important. I can make a name tag. Okay. I'm going to want one of those as well. Here in a minute, which I'm going to cut here in just a second because I want to set up a little pen for our Meyer snails because we're going to breed those together as well. They were up here. I moved them up here because they were interfering with my horse. But they've moved down. Okay, so we'll get ourselves our piggy backpack. And I want to do something I've been meaning to do since we first started. But we had the longsword and slime boots, so I didn't need like faster travel for the Betweenlands for like the majority of the time that I was there. There are some situations though where this is better in truth than the slime boots even. So, but let's pop through and let me go grab, if you recall we ran into those Harlequin toads a lot. It's time we get one of those for our uses because they're tameable. And I actually can't remember if we ever tamed one on Divine Journey or not. Not for sure. But I am going to want to set a pin up for it. So for right now, I'm going to set it inside the building. Actually, I might keep it there because I quite like these guys. But what we can do is our piggy backpack. Let me actually equip this thing real quick. It goes right there. And then what we can do is right-click mobs to pick them up. And does it not work with the Harlequin Toad? No, it doesn't work with the Harlequin Toad. And neither does Carry On. No. No, okay. Well, that's no good. I was wanting one of those. I don't think I have any way other than the piggy backpack. We are still going to need that for the sludge, but I don't think I have any other way of moving mobs at the moment. I don't have any lassos or safari nets or soul vials or anything like that. Oh, look at that. Our pitcher plants have spread and our sundew has spread. I swear these whites, any more of these things are just nuisances. They were pretty tough when we first got here to some extent, but still killable, but they were a little bit tougher. But okay, so Harlequin Toads. What we can do is we can take Dragonfly Wings and we can right-click the Harlequin Toad. And eventually, we're going to get some little heart particles. One day. There we go. And now we've got ourselves our Harlequin Toad. So, look at that. I can ride our little toad around. And the nice thing is, like, you know, he kind of bounces around. And he moves faster than we would on this terrain. And, like, mud and stuff doesn't slow him down. So, like, we can just hop right across that. And what's fun is he will actually ram mobs if they attack him. And you can do combat and stuff on him and all that good stuff. Now, what's sad is he doesn't actually jump very high, so I'm actually kind of stuck at the moment. Let me dig out of here real quick. He can get stuck fairly easily, so just something to be aware of. But if you jump in the water with him, like watch this, he gets with it. Like, he'll get you across the water pretty quick. As fast, if not faster, than a boat. And what's nice is you can actually equip an amulet to him, too. So if you want to, you can... I believe amulet slots may work with him as well. I'm not for sure. Yeah, so there's no way we're going to be able to get him in through the portal. That's too bad. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to put him, like, down inside this little pit where I farm up my swamp dirt. And then once we have a way that we can move him, we'll come back and we'll move him. I'm assuming that once he's tamed, he probably still doesn't work with the piggy backpack. Yeah, see, I can carry Meyer snails inside of my head. Okay, but I've got to go get... I'm going to set up a little, like, holding pen for the sludge. And I'm going to go get a sludge, which are those, like, slime guys that jump around inside the really dangerous places. I need to go get one of those so we can make a little sludge farm. And then I'm going to see where we're at on time. We'll maybe get the kelp setup going. That's what I need the pistons for. But if we don't get the kelp setup done today, it'll be tomorrow. Or it'll be next episode. And I've still got to wait for this stuff to decay. So, which is taking... It takes a little while. Especially when I'm over in the Betweenlands and it's not running. But anyways, I'll be back here in just a bit once I get a little pen set up and go capture a sludge. With the piggy backpack, and then maybe get everything set up for the kelp setup. Okay, it's been a little bit since I last cut, and I did get one advancement, and that was for crafting a piston. I went ahead and laid this out. I was originally planning on having 2 lines of this, but I want an auto collection system, and I forgot that swamp water. I guess I forgot that swamp water creates source blocks when it touches. So, but I do have 10 pistons right down through here, lined up, facing in towards this direction. And back here, this cobble, what I want to do is I want to run some redstone just straight down along this, 10 pieces right through there. Okay, and we're going to have a button collection system. We could do a similar setup for like our swamp reeds and stuff, but I figure we're gonna fully automate those and sugarcane, and move this to full automation in the next age. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Because we only have very limited redstone. I don't have things like comparators and daylight sensors or timers or anything like that. But what we're going to do is we're going to remove these blocks right here so that the water flows over in this direction. Because what happens is anytime an item is dropped into the water, like even down here, you'll notice that it floats right up and gets pulled over in this direction, which is what we want to happen. Okay, we're going to have it flow over in this direction. And what I want to do is I want to craft up 10 hoppers. Okay, oh, and I did make a couple uppers, which are just basically reversed hoppers. But let's go ahead. I'm going to need a bit of Simerite. And I moved our Snails over. I may end up sprucing up their pen. Right now it's pretty basic. But that's fine. Let's go ahead and get ourselves... And we're just going to do Simerite hoppers because they have the inventory like standard hoppers. But they're a lot cheaper. They are a whole lot cheaper. So we're definitely going to go with these. And then what we're going to do right out here, right under the surface of this dirt, we're going to pull up all this dirt down through here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have our hoppers come over off in this direction. So the water's going to come up and it's going to flow over the top of these Simerite hoppers. Just like that. And then these Simerite hoppers are just going to pass the items down along and through themselves to the very end. Okay. And so then if we were to remove, say, this block right here, we can see there's our hoppers. So we do have access to those. I guess technically I could do this without an upper. But I think I'd rather have an upper so that the drawer is more like eye level. So we'll just trim this stuff back. And we're going to put an upper setting right there. So the items are going to get sent up by the upper into the inventory above them. Or into the space above them. And so then what I want to do, I've actually got one of our drawers right here. I'm going to use one of these. I think I'm going to use one of our weedwood frame drawers for this, I do believe. And we're just going to place this down. We're going to place this down, setting right there. Okay, so our kelp is going to be able to build up into there. Oh, that broke all the water blocks. I'm going to have to fix that. Oh, I hear an Enderman. I don't see Enderman, but I hear one. I don't know where he's at, but I think he's probably under the ground somewhere. Okay, but let's go get ourselves some swamp kelp. And then we'll set up the rest of the redstone for this. And then we're going to... I don't have any sludge balls left because I cooked them all. After that, we're going to set up the pen for the sludge. And then we'll go grab the sludge. And then we'll take care of the snails. I know the episode's running a little bit long, but I would like to knock this stuff out today. So we have all the farming just right here in one episode. Because we're just about done. Except for Ace Spectres. We'll cover Ace Spectres next episode in like Betweenlands cleanup. So that's what we'll do. But this right here is swamp kelp. So what we'll do, we'll just go to the bottom. We're just going to break it off. And honestly, like a few pieces like that, and we should be good. Yeah, there's like swamp kelp everywhere. And these will grow like pretty much indefinitely until they reach the top of the water. By the way, the swamp reeds the same way. You know, above ground they only grow to 4 high, but if they're in water, they'll grow up pretty well infinite. So, yeah, there's 42 swamp reed. That should be good. And so then what we're going to do, let's pop back over to the overworld. And I need to look, we might be able to do the same thing with like the bloat flowers. There's like the bloat stems and the bloat flowers or whatever they're called. They have like a flowering top. We may be able to do the same thing with them. I'm going to have to look and see. Because if so, we might set up a setup like this to have these, you know, on demand as well. But then what we'll do, we'll come down and we're going to just plant our swamp kelp just right along through here. So ideally, every time we harvest this, if it's fully grown, we're going to get about 20 swamp kelp, which really isn't bad, in truth, because I'm mainly just going to be using it for potions, and then, you know, maybe some decor here and there or something like that. And then we'll just take the rest of this and we'll dump it into our drawer here. Which I may actually make a different drawer and make it out of, like, swamp dirt. I don't know for sure. We'll see. But then I want to make a button, which we can do it. I'm just going to do a weedwood plank button. And we're going to put this setting, let's see, we're going to have some swamp dirt setting like right there. We'll trim this back. And we'll put our button right on that swamp dirt. So if we hit this button, the pistons go out and then they come back in. And then all I have to do is just take our swamp dirt and I can just cover this over like that and just kind of hide it away. It doesn't look awkward. And then I'll probably put like some greenery up here and stuff, kind of make it look nice, decorated and everything. And I may even bring some of the swamp dirt out like through here so it looks a little bit more natural. But then, for example, we can actually place this to simulate it. So, because none of it's really grown yet. It does take a minute for it to grow. But if we come down through here, and we grow all this swamp kelp. We've got 22, we had 32. And let's put this, well, let's actually grab we'll grow it to full height, which is going to be 3 high with our setup. Honestly, I may end up bringing the dirt even farther down so it has higher to grow. You know, maybe something like 10 deep or something like that. So we hit this and we get like, you know, we get like almost 2 stacks every harvest. So, but anyways, it's 3 high, so we should have 32 after it all gets harvested. So if we push the button, you can see all the swamp kelp gets broken, and it's going to flow over the top of our Sire hoppers, and you can see the number in here is going up, and there we go, 32 swamp kelp. So just an easy way to kind of automate harvesting, because honestly this stuff is not a lot of fun to break. I mean, yeah, I can do that, and it breaks like pretty much instant, but going through here and like trying to get both stems, and especially if I grow it down deeper, which I probably will end up doing, I'll probably add like another, I don't know, a bunch of layers to it. It's just going to make it a whole lot easier. And then it's going to be just a hop, skip, and a jump to fully automate it. You know, maybe put like a daylight sensor here. Maybe we get those in the next stage, or I doubt we get timers, but you know, maybe something, and I don't really want like a big redstone setup right here, but maybe like a timer or a daylight sensor or something like that setting out, and then, you know, it'll just break it, you know, once a day, and then we'll have swamp kelp always built up in here. So just something quick and easy to do. There's my snail pen. It's nothing elaborate. I may end up actually having the hoppers turn and maybe have the drawer setting like right here. I'll have to craft some more Simorite hoppers, but I might do that actually between episodes. Anyways, this right here, I want to cover this real quick. Our white pear seed is done. So what we're going to do, let's get ourselves one of our Simorite buckets, and this is really easy to do. It's just an easy free advancement, and then we can get rid of that piece of dirt. If we grab ourselves a bucket of water and put a ball of sap in there, we get a bucket of plant tonic, and then all we have to do is just come over here. You could see it's decayed because it's emitting those green particles. We can just right click that dirt, and there we go, we got the Necro Farmer advancement. So, and I don't actually need any of this stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. If you take a look in here, I have almost 2.5 stacks of white pears, and I've got 62 white pear seeds. And then back in here, look at that. I did notice that apiaries work with it. So just like our farm over there, we now have apiaries in this, and they boost the growth by quite a bit. At 64 bees. So, and then these are all fully grown. I mean, technically, I guess I could like checker these so I can have more plants in here, but I really don't feel like it's needed. In truth, I need this to decay for one of our advancements, but. Okay, so let's see. Let's go get a sludge. Let's actually set up the sludge pen first. And so what we're going to do, we got our weedwood plank fences, and we're going to try this with a Simorite hopper. I know it works with a wooden hopper, but I'm pretty sure it'll work the same with a Simorite hopper. So we'll just craft up one of these guys, and then let me get one more chest. And then I also prepped up a couple things inside of this chest. I've got a stone grill. Got a wooden hopper just in case this hopper doesn't work. Oh, and I had a chest in here. Okay, so for our slime, I think I'm going to put it right over here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have, let's see, I'm going to want the chest setting. Do I want a chest or do I want a drawer? Actually, I'll probably use a drawer, in fact, because there's only going to be one thing that's going into this. So we'll put the drawer setting right there. And that's where our sludge balls are going to go. And then what I'm thinking is if we had the stone grill, yeah, I think we'll have the stone grill setting right back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an upper setting right there. And we're going to have a Simorite hopper feeding into it. And so if I put something into that, it should go, it does, it goes right into there. So anyway, Simorite hopper feeding into the upper. And then what we're going to do, or not Simorite hopper, sorry. Not a Simorite hopper. I want the flame grilled whopper feeding into the upper. And then right above that, I want our stone grill setting right there, because whenever we get the sludge balls, I'm going to just let them smelt up into sludge jello over the stone grill. Because there's the only use for sludge balls, aside from making sludge jello, really, is breeding Meyer snails. And if I need Meyer snails, like if I need to breed them, you know, it's going to back up in the hopper, it's going to back up in the stone grill. I can grab some and then go breed it. It really only takes a second to harvest this stuff, so that's really not a concern. I don't feel like if you don't want the stone grill, you don't have to have it, but the main thing I'm going to be doing with sludge jello is making food. I'm going to be making really awesome food, and I'm not going to be making pies ever again, which is going to be great. So what we're going to do then, our stone grill sitting there, we're going to have another Simrite hopper feeding into that stone grill. And right above this is where our sludge is going to hang out at. And so then what I want to do is right up here, we're going to put, I don't know if I want him to be this layer. I don't think he's going to be able to jump out. The only thing is it's going to be harder to, yeah, it's going to be too hard to harvest it if it's sitting right there. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to bring this up by 1. And we're going to have our fence kind of run around. Oops. Oh, quit throwing my stuff into there. Okay. We're going to have our fence kind of run around here. And we'll have to set up something so that it'll look nice. Maybe bring the fence posts up. I've got to make more weedwood planks fences, but maybe bring that up or something. We'll see. I'll play around with the idea. And then let me make a couple more fences just so this looks a little bit better for us. Oh, and that plant tonic has like a few uses. I'll probably never use it again, but you can. You can use it again if you so desire. Oh, and by the way, this sludge jello is done. And I'll show you what we're going to make. We're going to take our white pears. And then if we combine white pear with sludge jello, we get white pear jello. Look at that food. It's fruit of 5%, restores 5 hunger bars, full saturation. Very, very powerful superfood. It is quite nice. Quite nice indeed. But what I'm thinking is we can just bring our... Why do they do that? I guess it's not a big concern, but kind of bring that down. And I've got to make one more set of fences, but that's fine. So it just kind of boxes it in a little bit. Okay, some bad news. The piggyback pack. I cannot teleport mobs while, you know, they're on me. I ended up getting a sludge. It was a pain because they're damaging you the whole time, so I was like bouncing all over the place. But I ended up getting a sludge back over there, but I couldn't get him through. I even threw like a healing potion at him because he was taking like suffocation damage while I was trying to go through the portal, and it did not work. But anyways, I set something up over here with just a hopper. I may end up sticking a chest on there. We'll see. And then I've got like a little staircase. Whoops. I've got a little staircase here that goes over to the top of it, is what I've got. And we're going to have to farm the sludges here because I have no way to move them to the overworld. So that's fine though. I mean, we'll make do until we have some method. I'm going to leave our setup in the overworld. And then once we can, because I really don't think there's going to be any food that really compares. But our sludge farm is a little ways from our portal. So what I'm probably going to do is make another portal and connect it up to the overworld that like comes out here. Because it really wouldn't take very long to get here in the overworld. But in the Betweenlands, it's a little bit more of a journey to get over here. So, okay, I had to make some alterations to it because I need this sludge right here. I don't need like the small sludges. And since I'm not using fences, the sludge won't fit down inside of it. I didn't bring any fences with me to set this up, so that's fine. There we go. Our sludge is down inside of there, and then I'm just going to cover this over, and we should be all set. So you'll notice that when he jumps, he creates a sludge layer on top of that hopper. Let me pop out here real quick, and I'm going to cover this over a little bit, just so we don't have anything else jumping down inside of there. He's still got enough room to slightly bounce, and it's actually going to be quicker this way as well. Alright, so you can see he's just bouncing away on top of that sludge. Now, if he takes any damage, I can use my healing potions, because remember, I can use those as splash potions, and I can throw them at him, and the splash effect will give him regen. So, we can do that. But what we're going to do is we're just going to stand down here. Well, actually, let me put a name tag on him. So we'll just right-click, and there we go. We have Sloppy Joe, and he should stay out here. And you'll notice that when I break that, I'm getting sludge balls. If I'm careful, I'm not going to damage him if I aim right there. I mean, you can see I can just keep swinging it, because he's going to keep making that sludge layer every time that he lands. And we're just going to get, like, free sludge balls. So, yay! Free sludge. And he shouldn't despawn. Sometimes it will look like he's despawned because they actually sink down inside of the sludge. But they're still there. So whenever you come around, they'll pop back up. So, but we can just sit here and we can get infinite free sludge. And I'm probably just going to run out this shovel. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a very, very long while, actually. And there's a bunch of other sludge back in there that's not landing directly on the hopper. That'll be fixed when we have, or fixed-ish. Sometimes it will land outside of it. But once we have it in the overworld, it'll be a little bit easier. But honestly, if we come here and we run out like an Octane Shovel, we're going to have so much sludge, like, because this thing has a ton of durability. 900. I've still got 385 durability on this thing. And in addition to being able to make our white pear Jello, now we never have to eat sap again. We can eat just sap Jello, which restores 2 decay as well as restoring hunger in the process. So, I mean, our life in the Betweenlands has gotten a whole lot easier. And then if this was in our overworld setup, it would automatically be smelted. But I'm going to take it back to the overworld and smelt it there instead of smelting it here, I think. And he's still full health. You just have to be careful where you aim. So if you're on the server and you want to use this setup, that's fine. Just please don't kill Sloppy Joe. If you do, you got to replace him. And I keep meaning to make the Sigil of Magnetism. If I had Sigil of Magnetism right here, I'd be able to just suck it all up. Okay, so our shovel is gone now. And then we'll just run around the edge of this, and I should be able to get all the sap. Look at all that sap, or sludge. Normally this stuff is a pain to farm, but if you just make a little farm for it, it's super easy. Okay, so we have a ton, an absolute ton of sludge at the moment. Alright, so, I mean, it's a little ways away from our home portal, so like I said, I am probably going to make a Betweenlands tree in the overworld that kind of matches up with the coordinates, and then we'll be able to just go across the overworld to get to here, instead of having to make this trek. I mean, I could make a bridge system, but I mean, this is such a temporary setup, I'm not going to worry about that, because like as soon as we get some sort of an ability to move mobs, then we're going to do that, and we're going to lose this setup here. So really doesn't take that long though, about 3 slime slings, give or take. It's actually not that bad. And then back in the overworld, we can just pop our sludge balls into the hopper, and it's going to cook them all down for us. And then we'll get sludge jello, and it'll just kind of build up. And I've got sludge balls to last for a while. And then I can make lots and lots of that pear jello, because that stuff is awesome. It's quite good. Okay, so now that we've got that taken care of, and I know the episode's running long, we're just about done. We're going to go ahead and breed our Meyer snails together. And they're going to make a baby. Yay! Now kiss advancement. And we have a Meyer snail egg, and it kind of looks like it's breathing, right? Well, we can pick this up with a right click. And then we can go smelt it. You can also let it hatch and it'll become another Meyer snail, and I am going to breed up some Meyer snails so we have a bunch of them, because I do need them for alchemy, because the ochre, the ochre snail shells are actually kind of nice for alchemy, in truth. But anyways, we're going to throw this guy on the fire. And then once he's done, we'll pick it up. And there we go. We got the cooked Meyer snail egg, and look at that. It's quite a bit of saturation for something that we can just cook up. And then we can also make the Meyer scramble. Look at that food. I'm going to be making some of those. All it is Meyer snail eggs, yellow dotted fungus, and that saturation is insane. It's absolutely insane. A lot of hunger, a lot of saturation. Doesn't have a food group, but even still, yellow dotted fungus, I have no other use for that. Cooked Meyer snail egg is fairly easy once I have a fair few Meyer snails. And make ourselves our Meyer scramble. And we get the baby murder advancement for making ourselves our Meyer scrambles. So I am wanting a bunch of these, ideally. We've still got a little bit of cooldown here. That's fine. That's okay. So far, we've gotten all the farming advancements today, except for this one. This one I'm gonna have to set up for. I've got one here, but it hasn't. It didn't pop it whenever I broke this last one. But I've got to wait for this dirt to decay. So to get that. So we'll get that next episode. And next episode we're gonna be wrapping up our Betweenlands stuff and just kind of go through and do cleanup. That I'm still working on. One of those rings comes from the other boss, I believe, but the other ring is just a luck sort of thing. That will get, this fighter stuff will knock that out. There's the last boss. that we have to get, and then the minor one and this one. All really, really easy. So we'll clean those up, and then depending on where we're at, we may move on to our next project. I am going to say, before we get back into the Twilight Forest, because after Betweenlands, Twilight Forest is the next major thing. But as soon as we finish up the Betweenlands stuff, the following episode, we are going to be spending on the elevator systems, and then making wine, because I want to start making wine. So we'll tie that and the elevators together, and do those two together. So that's what's coming up. And then after that, we'll get back in the Twilight Forest. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I know it ran a little bit long. I think by the time it's done, it's going to be sitting at about an hour, judging by where we're at and what I've edited so far. So, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions, as always, be sure and let me know, and I'll do my best to get those answered for you. And just because we can, let's break that stuff. We'll get some swamp kelp. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button. And go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys then.